Hey, I have never done a personal update video on YouTube, but after publishing videos here for almost 7 years now and getting to know a lot of you and you getting to know me better over the years, I thought it would really make sense to make a video like this, especially when we spend so much time together every week with new videos and posts and things going on, life. So I wanted to make this little end of year review for you and tell you a bit about why I've made some of the decisions that I have this year, especially with moving back to the US temporarily and anything important that's happened, and also looking ahead to 2025. So if this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Kristin, also known as Traveling with Kristin, and I have been traveling for a lot of my life. I've spent about 20 years of my life in different countries and have been to more than 60 countries, and made this channel to be able to share that with you. But not just traveling to other countries, but being able to live there or slow travel there, or kind of move around as a digital nomad or roaming retiree, or basically just live life however you want. So I started this channel back in 2018 with documenting some of the ways that I live this kind of lifestyle. And well, a lot has happened since then in the world. And now this kind of lifestyle is not as alternative and weird as it used to be. It's more societally accepted and mainstream, which could be good or bad depending on how you see things. I think the most important thing is that it's possible now. And it's really the first time in human history where so many people have had so much freedom in being able to choose what you do for work, where you live, how you spend your time, who you spend it with. And so regardless of what happens and all of the craziness in the world and the news, I just feel personally very grateful to be able to have the freedom to work remotely, to be able to travel, and to be able to kind of choose my home away from home around the world. So the first thing to address here is related to a video that I published a few months ago that you might have seen, which was about why I quit being a digital nomad and why I came back to the US. Actually, this is kind of related to the pandemic, because that first year of 2020 to 2021 was the longest that I've ever stayed in the United States, probably since high school. I spent a lot of my college years traveling and living abroad and into grad school. So it really had been since I was a high schooler that I actually stayed in the United States for an entire year. And that was pretty weird, but I guess I kind of got a little bit like reacclimated to living here. Although I did leave again and spent the last year and a half in Europe and traveling the world before coming back to the US again this year. So after the lockdowns and everything, like 2020 to 2022, I left, went back to Europe, which is where I was before the pandemic, and was there again until 2024. The places that I stayed that year in Europe were the UK, the Netherlands, Portugal, Brazil. I went to Mexico, but I would say Portugal, Netherlands, and the UK were the main places that I was spending my time. And then I came back to Miami this year in May and stayed here for 6 months. And then I'm still here. I just moved into a different place. And a lot of you have asked me why I came back here, and also why I continue to help people move abroad if I'm here. And I wanted to explain that a bit, because I guess it could seem a bit weird, but I've spent so much of my time in different countries that a lot of like long-term travelers will understand this, and people who've immigrated to other countries, or if you've lived as an expat for a few years. The more you travel and the more you live in different places, the less you associate with one specific country. So my sense of personal internal peace is a lot different than it was before I ever traveled and before I ever lived abroad. And my perspective of the United States has changed as well. So I guess after having traveled so much, I don't feel as connected to the US when I'm living here, because I also know that due to the nature of my lifestyle, I can pretty much leave at any time. I have a lot of flexibility and I can choose to get a visa or residency or go to another country whenever the timing is right. And that's just the way that I've been living for so long that I guess I'm used to it now. So it doesn't bother me if I have to stay in the US for 6 months or if I choose to have a home base here for a year or so, because I'm always traveling in between and I know that I won't be here forever. I'm just here at the moment, and probably later this year or next year, I'll be in a different country. Another reason why I came back, which I talked about in the other video, was to be near family. My sister had a baby this year and he's adorable. So I wanted to be near, my parents, my brother, my sister, my niece and nephew. And at least being in the same country, it's a lot easier to visit them than being across the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean or in the Southern Hemisphere. So that was another reason. We collectively went through God, I can't ever talk about this without crying. We as a family had a traumatic experience this year that also made me feel like it was better to stay here and be closer to my family, which is, something that I've said I'm not going to talk about publicly on here, but just one of those things that can happen that just turns your life upside down. That is what happened this year with one of my family members. So that's another reason why I'm still here. As everyone, we all have personal struggles throughout the year as well. And another one for me was our dog passing away. And that happened just about a month or so ago. And, that always takes a lot of time and healing whenever you lose a pet. But fortunately, I'm able to work from anywhere, creating these YouTube videos and also running my relocation business, which is something that I've been doing full-time since 2011. So a lot of you have asked me, how I make money online, how I make this lifestyle work. And I do have a couple of other videos to explain about that more in detail. But this year particularly, one of my goals was to be able to offer my services to more people, since I used to work with people just one-on-one. So this year I've really expanded my service offering more consulting calls with people, offering a step-by-step relocation program that helps you move to almost any country in just a few months. And that's grown a lot this year. So I've hired new people. If you've contacted us through the website, you might have communicated with me or Aaron and Alex from my team. My team is also based in other countries, with Aaron living in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and Alex headed to Paraguay in South America. So we all have lived in a lot of different countries and we experience this lifestyle and also want to help others to be able to do the same. So working with my relocation clients through my programs, Ready to Relocate, and also creating videos for you here on YouTube, also working with brands and a few other projects keeps me pretty busy. I'm really happy to announce that my second book, Moving Abroad for Dummies, is coming out in 2025. So I'll leave the pre-order link down below. If you've been with me for a couple of years, you might remember that I wrote my first book, Digital Nomads for Dummies, in 2022 is when it came out, in August of 2022. So it's really exciting to be able to write a follow-up to that book, but focus specifically on moving abroad. So yeah, pretty much spend all of my time not traveling as much anymore, but helping other people travel and work abroad, live abroad, retire abroad. I think that's pretty much my purpose in life, and I'm happy to do it. Another project that I've had now for 5 years is the Traveling with Kristin podcast, which used to be the Badass Digital Nomads podcast, and we changed the name this year. So there's about 275 episodes of the Traveling with Kristin podcast out there that you can listen for free on your favorite podcast platform, on podcast.travelingwithkristin.com. We're doing about 2 episodes per month. And the reason that I decided to reduce the publishing schedule was just simply because of all of the work that I have on my plate. And just wanting to focus more on my core business of relocations and also YouTube, as I didn't want to be skipping a lot of weeks of publishing here. I love doing the podcast and I'll always do it for as long as possible. I love having guests come on and ask them questions and hear what other people are doing out there. But it does take a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of money to create a weekly podcast, and it's not monetized as well. It's really hard to find sponsors for podcasts. It seems like the top 0.001% of podcasts get the highest volume of downloads, and for like 99.9% of the other podcasters, it's a lot harder to get discovered. So if you love podcasts and you want to support, then definitely make sure to check ours out. I have a lot of the interviews edited for YouTube and we haven't published that many of them. But if you do want us to publish those video interviews here, then comment below and let me know. Other personal changes that I've experienced in my life this year is with my health. So I actually went vegan this year after about a year and a half of research. And I know that's not important or anything, what I'm eating, what other people are eating, but I just wanted to share that because I have shared a lot about health and wellness on my podcast, especially more so than on YouTube. And really my journey to understanding more about health and wellness and longevity started because I traveled and because I lived abroad. It was really after leaving the United States and what's called the standard American diet that many of us were brought up on, a lot of processed foods, hot dogs, macaroni and cheese, cereal, cow's milk. It wasn't until I went to Costa Rica that I was able to try more exotic fruits, different kinds of vegetables, and go to healing and wellness centers to learn more about health in general. I experimented with juice fasting, water fasting, coconut water fasting, and raw foods, and being vegetarian, and have tried a lot of things since then to try to feel like what is my optimal health. And now a lot of things are more mainstream, like superfoods that you can get in the United States and organic foods, whole foods, things like that. But still, the US food supply and system is inferior to that of other countries. And I think the more that you can travel to different places, the more variety of foods you can try, the more you can feel what's working with your body. I get a lot of clients that say that they're able to eat dairy and gluten and bread and things in Europe that they aren't able to eat in the United States. So I wanted to just comment about that because health is wealth, and I'm always reassessing my belief system after having lived abroad, and this goes for all different facets of life, but health included. So it's a pretty big shift for me, but it's been a few months now and it feels pretty natural. And so I will continue with this as long as it's working for me, supplementing a lot. I don't know, some people have commented that I'm like looking younger or reverse aging, and I think part of it is my diet. So I wanted to add that in as well. Another unexpected personal change in my life has been being in a long distance relationship situation for more than a year now with a really amazing person who lives in Europe. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, but it's someone that I've known for a couple of years, but we reconnected last October in the Netherlands and now have, continued to talk and see each other. And I just got back from a trip to Belgium and the Netherlands together, and have just been really happy with that. Long distance relationships are hard, so who knows what the future holds, but that's been a new change in my life and something very significant for this year. And he's just a really amazing, considerate, kind, great person. So I'll respect his privacy. He's not on social media or anything like that, but that's been another significant change in my life this year. One of the main research themes in my life this year, I feel like every year you can be interested in certain topics more than others. For me, it's been two big things. One is focusing on culture. I'm very interested in culture and anthropology, and I've been collecting notes, hundreds of notes, anecdotes, pieces of research, quotes, ideas, maybe for a book someday. I'm not exactly sure, but in traveling and living in so many places, I'm always really interested in seeing how we're all similar as people and also how we're different. So I've been reading a lot about that this year. I even looked up how to get a PhD in anthropology, and honestly, it seems like too much work, so I don't think that I'll do it. But that's been something of interest to me this year, as well as how we spend our time. I think working for yourself, or any adult, can really relate to the trade-off between work life and personal life. And as you travel to different countries, it's very palpable, the difference in how people interpret this in their day-to-day life. And some cultures are like more workaholic than others, and spending more time in the US over the past year, and during the pandemic, which were weird years for everybody, combined with getting older. And I know that many of you have had multiple careers. You might be semi-retired, you might be in retirement age. And so you've probably also had time to reflect on this, how we spend our days is how we spend our lives, and really trying to strike that balance between surviving and thriving in the world with your career and making a difference, and then also having time for, personal hobbies, going for a walk, exercise, traveling, whatever you want to do. And I talked with a couple prospective relocation clients over the past few days. One of them, I asked, what are you looking forward to when you move to Europe and when you relocate? And she said, we don't have time to have time. Having jobs, having kids, living in the United States, she mentioned that the hustle culture used to be like a badge of honor and a way to get ahead in the country, and now it's just a way to survive. And so that really stuck out to me, and I think a lot of you can probably relate to that feeling. I know I definitely feel it more when I'm here compared to when I'm in really any other country. It's almost like as soon as you get to the airport, you feel like people are in more of a rush here. Another client I spoke with, she said that she's been working since she was 8 years old, and she just wanted to enjoy her life and had put in, so much time working that now she wanted to retire in France. And so that's been a lot on my mind as well. I'll link to some of the books that I've read this year and audiobooks that I've listened to in this video description, so you can check those out if you're interested in that. But I've definitely been contemplating this a lot, because part of the reason why I created this channel was because I felt like I lacked a bit of purpose in the world, that I wasn't, reaching my potential for what I could contribute. And so I love doing that. I love creating content here, and I love helping more and more people. But sometimes I also have to remember to save some time for relaxation and having fun as well. And I think that a lot of people, if you work for yourself, if you're a freelancer or an online business owner, then it's a bit of a undefined rules about how to manage this. As far as what's happening next, there's some things that are in the works that I can't announce just yet. I would say that my main goal is to finish Moving Abroad for Dummies and have that published next year. So I'll leave the pre-order link in the video description, and I hope that I can share more information with you soon. Let me know anything that you want to see on the channel in the upcoming year. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of my Patreon patrons who are there for more, regular updates with what's going on, and who support me over on patreon.com/travelingwithkristin. And also thank you to all of the people who have entrusted me with helping you plan your moves to other countries. It is a huge responsibility and such an honor to be able to help you with this transition in life. And I am so grateful that this is my job. So if you would like some help from me, you can apply at travelingwithkristin.com/relocation, and see you in the next video. I'll link to this one next, which explains a little bit more about why I moved back to the United States this year.